Good evening, fellow patriots. This is Larry Smith coming to you live from Tennessee. Today is August 19th, and it is 9:26 p.m. Central Time. And I want to continue to give you guys spiritual and secular updates. And there's a particular reason why I wanted to give one tonight, but I want to say a prayer first, and because I always want to include God in what we do. I think one podcast a little while back, I forgot to do my prayer, and man, did I feel bad. Dear Lord and Heavenly Father, we worship you, praise you, glorify your wonderful name. Thank you, Lord, for being in our presence tonight. And Lord, just put it on my heart to give knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to those around us. Lord, touch their hearts, open their eyes, open their ears, make them observant patriots, and know that God, you're in control. Your hand is all over this, and God, give us the confidence when we run into all the confusion and chaos that's happening in our world today. Provide us a peace of mind that you are in control and that we should be leaning in on you and not our own understanding. Lord, we lift up Trump. Give him, put a hedge of protection around him, and have that no weapon formed against him would be successful, because many weapons have gone his direction, Lord. And as he stands there today, we understand, God, that we have a divine protection, and because we know how evil the enemy is in this satanic controlled environment. Oh Lord, I know it's good versus evil. You got our back. Ephesians 6, we have our armor on, God, and we're going to stand fast, and we're going to hold to the truth, and Lord, and we're going to occupy. You know, the last thing Jesus told us was to occupy. Yeah, we're going to occupy until you come back, Lord, and give us the gumption and the confidence. And just like in Ephesians 6, you have us, you give us armor to cover our front because you have our back. And I 100% believe that, God. We pray that in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, thank you for coming back, if you're back. And tonight, you know, one of the things that I've run into a lot of, I listen to probably 10 hours of videos a day. And 10 or 12 hours, I'm listening, I'm trying to find the truth, I'm trying to understand what's happening. And not because I don't think it's going to turn out right. I'm trying to get an understanding of what can I impart to you. I think if I let too much time go by on what's happening on a day-to-day basis, that it allows us to let our imaginations run. And I want to protect against that, not only for you but for myself. You know, as I put these podcasts together, I really have to, you know, I want you to understand what's really happening from my perspective. But then again, I always ask you to do your own research, use discernment on any and everything that I say. I think I'm doing halfway decent at trying to get to the truth. I know I've given wrong dates in the past, but learning that. What I've learned is that we're in a war. That's the best way to explain it. And as the day by day that goes on in any wartime situation, timelines are going to change, you know, and you might have a good understanding today that something's going to happen on Monday, but that doesn't mean all the activity that occurs that drives that Monday out further, or you're not going to do what you're going to do on Monday anymore, because now you have a different course of action based upon the moves and counter moves that go on. You see, so we're in the middle of a war. So I'm really shying away from providing dates anymore. But and the best thing I can tell, and I say this to my wife, I know exactly what's going to happen. I just don't know when. And one of the things that I learned is that this isn't about a 4-year election. This, when I'm giving you an update tonight, it has an election component to it, but it's not anything about the promotion. It's about a spiritual war that we're in. And this is good versus evil. God's got his hand all over this. And I know that God wins, and in the end, God wins. I know that's going to happen. I just have, and one of the, if I were to say that one of the problems I have is I'm so anxious to have something done to this corruption that's going on in this world, U.S. in particular, my county, your county in particular, children that are dying, and things that are going on in the medical environment. I just think are just crazy, but but does that mean that we're going to lose? No, not at all. And what I've listened to when I listen to these videos 10, 12 hours a day is that there's a lot of doom and gloom that are going on. This is going to happen and this is going to happen. You can see it happen around you. Well, I told you, I keep coming to you, say, be calm, have patience. Okay. And it's they keep shutting me off during the video, or that just they're shutting the voice of reason down everywhere. But anyway, lost my train of thought. But anyway, what I want you to know is be calm, be patient. God has this. He has a timeline, and I got some things to probably pass on to you. I'm going to go through these notes that I've taken down so that we can get an understanding of this. I don't want this to be doom and gloom that if you look at the jab that everybody's going to die. No, I wrote a note to my family tonight, my kids, and I says, my 2 cents. Paul got bit by a viper and he survived. There was a point of time when snakes were loose in Israel, and God says, well, put a snake up on the pole and look towards that pole and you'll be saved from that poisonous snake. So God is awesome. If you got the jab, we'll pray about it. We have a God that heals and does whatever he's supposed to do. I highly recommend that nobody take a shot, but you guys all have your own circumstances. There's reasons why we all do things. Okay. So we have to unite on a particular solution, and we have an awesome God that we can lean in on, and not our own understanding. Right. So first thing I wanted to bring to you, it comes out of 2 Kings 6, and it's in the book of his name is Elisha, not Elijah. Elisha. He's in this in his hut or whatever with his servant, and the servant looks out the door and says, "Man, there's an army out there that's just going to annihilate us. There's no way that we can fight. We can stand against this army that's out there." And Elisha says, "Well, open that door again and open your eyes." Open your eyes and see what you see. And he looked out there and he says, well, I don't see anything. And then he turns around and he says again, no, open your spiritual eyes. And so he looks out the door, and on the ridge, on the mountains all around were all these mighty angels on horseback. And what he determined, there was way more of God's army than there was out there in that field that surrounded that surrounded the building he was in. And we have to think back that when the angels came out of heaven, 1/3 of them left. You know what that means? It means that 2/3 were left in heaven. Okay, so we, the good guys, way outweigh the bad guys. So when we're looking at all of this news media, who's the bad guy? Count all the news media and then count all the people in the United States. There's way more than us, way more, and God's an awesome God. I mean, a viper can bite you and it won't affect you. That's the kind of God we have, and so with those angels up around that ridge, we have those too. Those angels are there for us too. What happened, I think, in 2 Kings 6, what I think happened was they all got confused and started fighting each other. So however God does it, he's going to do it, and he's going to do it in his time. And I told you that we were going to have a gut punch, that we're going to have a near-death experience for our nation. Well, okay, we be patient, hold in there. God's got this, you know. So, rah rah rah, let's do this, you know. So God is in control. God wins. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. It's already been completed in heaven. And so it's got to play out in the physical world here. God planned it, he said it, and it's going to happen, you know. And I've said, have patience. I believe that God's hand is all over this. And God had his hand in on the creation of the U.S., okay, to spread the gospel. And to and he said the righteous nation. Oh, and I think it'll be in place until rapture. We can see the darkness of the world because we're standing in God's light. And if we wouldn't have recognized the corrupt government had it not had light upon it. Otherwise, we'd be like 10% of the U.S. now that has their head sticking in the sand, believing Biden is our president, you know, and things like that. But no, the reason why we can see the corruption is because we're standing in God's light. That's why we can see. Light comes upon this dark world, and we can see it. You see, so that's why we're able to see it. Okay, and no weapon formed against us is going to succeed. Now, there are casualties in war, sadly to say, and that doesn't mean we all won't come out 100%, or maybe we might. Well, it's you know. I don't know you, but I started dying the day I was born. And so, patriots, I am talking about the God who split the Red Sea, the God who created Israel, the God, or to be his priest, the God who became man, the God who raised Jesus from the dead, and the God that promoted Christianity from a group of fishermen that is now Christianity worldwide, and we're all anticipating Jesus's return. So that's the God who's behind us, not some namby-pamby person. So look at the Bible, and Jesus was the same yesterday, and he's the same today, and he's going to be the same tomorrow. He's not going to change, and nobody's going to change him. Relax. God has this. And if you looked, we start looking at the Afghanistan today. We have Biden, who is negotiating with the puppets, you know, the deep state that are sitting in Afghanistan. Trump negotiated with the Taliban for the peace, for the moving the troops out. I'm gonna read you some statements today that where Trump said, and gives you an understanding of what his plan was and how he intended to carry it out. So, with all that said, you know, with all that I just said about God's in control, keep your eyes on the e-audit. Okay, when you see this Afghanistan thing, you're going to see so many false flags. They're going to be flying at us like you won't believe. I said things are going to get worse because we have a cornered animal that knows that death is just around the corner, and they're going to fight, bite, spit. We're going to do whatever they can to stay in power, any and everything, and they're not going to quit 1 second sooner than the time that they're arrested, or whatever mechanism stops them from being in power. Okay. And so keep your eyes on the e-audits. Okay. That I think that's when the dominoes begin to fall. And Q said that these dominoes are going to fall. Once it gets going, it's going to go quick. So one domino is going to fall onto two dominoes. Those two dominoes are going to fall on four dominoes. Those four dominoes are going to fall on eight dominoes. So you can see as it goes, it's going to pick up steam and it's going to go fast. And so once the dam breaks, and it might be the Three Gorges Dam that breaks that might cause a lot of stuff going on. And if the Three Gorges Dam breaks, I think that's going to be a deep state operation to try to change the narrative again. Like I said, there's going to be so many false flags coming at us so fast and furious. Keep your eye on where we need to keep your eye, as because when what we've learned from the deep state, as this hand's up here telling you this, they're over here doing this. You see, so with this false flag, don't even pay attention to it. Don't give them 2 seconds. Stand your ground in your local, attend the school board meetings, do whatever you can to start pushing this deep state out of our lives. It's we the people that need to take over now, okay? Non-violently. So right now, what you're seeing going on is the biggest military sting operation the world is ever going to see in all of history. They set trap after trap after trap, and just the last two traps that the alliance and the white hats set, the deep state jumped in with both feet. It looks like they jumped off a fence into it. They just didn't step into it. They jumped and made purposeful leaps into these traps. The last one was the symposium about the PCAPs that Mike Lindell had. They caught so many people trying to hack into them, and so they're working now on interviewing those people and things like that. And the other one was this Afghanistan thing. And as we get into this, and you hear what Trump's plan was, and way in the back of my mind, and it's a gut feeling of mine. I don't have any evidence, but I for some reason am thinking that the Taliban are white hats. And I don't know. I just kind of get that feeling. Somebody showed a picture on one of the people. I'm trying to remember. I think it was Tom Numbers. It was the guy. He's a gematria guy out of England. He said he showed a picture with the Taliban, and they had a MAGA hat in the background. I mean, they're sending us signals or messages. We have to be observant and look for them and find these things. So I'm going to start off. I get a lot of information from X22, Dave from X22. He always does such a good job, and he keeps me calm. I tell you, I'm the most anxious person there is in this environment. I want so bad to have somebody arrested. You won't believe. I don't care if it's the janitor in the computer room that all he does is sweep the floors. If he did something wrong, let's arrest him and beat him over the head and shoulders and make an example out of him so that we can have some level of confidence that something's happening. But what I understand, that there's a ton of stuff happening in the background, and purposefully to catch every bad guy. When all the dust settles, they don't want to leave any deep state person in place. They want them all gone. So it's not just another election. They want to hammer these guys out of existence. And and you can't take a couple centuries of corruption and fix it in 4 years. I mean, but there's, and when I'm listening to people now, when I know the truth, I can catch the lies, and it's really started. It's starting to get fun, even though I'm anxious as I am, it's starting to become fun knowing what the truth is and having people try to pull the wool over your eyes. So you can tell who's pulling the wool over your eyes and who's not. So my discernment is getting better and better, because it's almost like when a lie comes up, it's like they're just crashing a cymbal or something. The Holy Spirit's been saying, "Oh, don't go there, don't go there." And what that happened to be on, let me see, what was that, what that guy was saying? Oh, the people that are around Trump, they were like deep state people, and Trump was going along with them so he can get donations from them so he can win the 2024 election. That's furthest from the truth. Trump had people from the deep state close to him because he had FISA warrants out on him, and if he had 4 people in the office, he'd tell each one a different story of what's happening the next day, and then he'd go out to the news and find out which story ended up in the news. He knew who he could trust and who he couldn't based upon that. If a foreign agent or a foreign country was involved in the dissemination of confidential information, Trump could use the FISA application, put warrants on them, and start tracking all the phone calls, and they can identify who was involved in that chain to get that information out to the public, out to the media. And so it's the biggest sting operation you've ever seen. And so am I confident things are going to happen? Yes. I want it to happen today. I wanted everything to happen on January of 2017, but I've waited 5 years now, and they're not there yet. But they're going to get everybody. So this is now, William. This is really a good statement. All these deep staters have to do is step down and go back to their regular life. Trump has given them opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to do it right. Just like in the election, they had how many steps did they have to go till they got to January 20th? How many chances did they get to do it right? And he's given them every chance, and he's doing everything, crossing every T, dotting every I, going everything legally. If he were to do anything illegally, it wouldn't be any better than the people that are corrupt now. And so he's trying to ensure that all these things are done by the law. So anyway, the UK Parliament holds Biden in contempt for Afghanistan withdrawal. So the United Kingdom's Parliament held President Joe Biden in contempt for his withdrawal of American troops from Afghanistan, calling the move catastrophic and shameful. Jordan Sather put out a picture that showed a plane. The news media put out a whole bunch of Afghanis on a plane. Well, he showed that this picture is 2 years old, and so and it was from an article. Let me see, in July 16th. So anyway, it was a couple of years ago, and the article, the original picture was that illegal immigrants from Afghanistan returned to their country. And this one, the new picture that they put out was Afghanistan immigration claims denied. So they're using outdated pictures on what they're doing. The U.S. Embassy in Afghanistan, under the direction of Joe Biden on Wednesday, sent out a second security alert to stranded Americans in Kabul. And the United States cannot ensure your safe passage to the Hamid Karzai International Airport. He says here, you are on your own. I read it, and that's not, they didn't say that in their own words, in those words. They used other words that you could understand to be that, but not the UK. The British government is sending paratroops and vehicles through the center of Kabul to rescue their citizens. The UK sent paratroopers to Kabul to rescue the 4,000 stranded Brits and Afghans in the city. They were told to prepare for face-to-face combat. So, and according to the Russell Review, serious friction between U.S. and U.K. military commanders at the airport. American forces refused to leave the airport due to deal with Taliban, while British paratroopers are still running constant patrols into the city to collect people from safe houses. British forces are rescuing British, Irish, and Afghan nationals due for evacuation. Any other nationality also picked up if at location. The Taliban are aware of patrols and taking no action so far. U.S. command is unhappy with the Brits, as they say it puts their deal at risk. A British paratrooper commander and an American 82nd Airborne commander had a screaming match. The Brits are reportedly very unhappy at how Afghans are being treated by the American forces. U.S. rank and file soldiers are infuriated with their command. They are extremely frustrated. They can't join the British paratroopers or use the small army of contractors assembled at the airport to go on rescue missions. And President Trump is getting more and more brash as he's putting out his comments. It's becoming fun to listen to him now. President Trump put out this could be Afghan, another Dunkirk situation. And another person put out when 200,000 Brits were trapped at Dunkirk, Churchill sent fishing boats across the channel to rescue them. While 10,000 Americans are trapped in Afghanistan, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin says, we don't have the capability to go out and collect large numbers of people. And I'm going to play this. Dan Scavino put this out. Let me see if you can hear it. It's not coming up.
Soldiers, and they were doing a good job. It was fine. It was a smaller force. I took it down from close to 20 to 2,500, and we were fine. But we have the military there, and we take the military out before we took our civilians out, and before we took the interpreters and other. We want to try and help. But by the way, I'm America first. Okay, the Americans come out first, but we're also going to help people that helped us. And we have to be very careful with the vetting because you have some rough people in there, but we're going to help those people. But can you imagine? Now, what we were going to do just very quickly is we were going to take the military out last, okay, last. The people were coming out. They were going to come out, but the agreement was violated. So I held things back because we weren't going to do anything, again, conditions based. So they weren't fulfilling their obligations and conditions. But here's just to finish. The people come out first. Then I was going to take all of the military equipment. We have billions and billions of dollars worth of new Black Hawk helicopters, brand new, that Russia now will be examining, and so will China, and so will everybody else to figure, because it's the greatest in the world. We have brand new Army tanks and all sorts of equipment, missiles. We have everything. I was going to take it out because I knew they weren't going to fight. Just one thing, and I have to say, and this is different from everyone else, I said, why are they fighting? Why are these Afghan soldiers fighting against the Taliban? And I was told some very bad information by a lot of different people. The fact is, they're among the highest paid soldiers in the world. They were doing it for a paycheck because once we left, they stopped fighting. So all of the people that talk about the bravery and everything, I say everybody's brave. But the fact is, our country was paying the Afghan soldiers a fortune. So we were sort of bribing them to fight. And that's not what it's all about. It's a great thing that we're getting out, but nobody has ever handled a withdrawal worse than Joe Biden. This is the greatest embarrassment, I believe, in the history of our country. We have a military. It's holding it, you know?
So another statement by Donald Trump. Fake elections have consequences. Just look at the horror of Afghanistan coupled with the massive incompetence at our southern border. I mean, it's... And here's a statement that pretty much follows what Trump just said. First, you bring out the American citizens. Then you bring out all equipment. Then you bomb the bases into smithereens. And then you bring out our military. You don't do it in reverse order like Biden and our woke generals did. No chaos, no death. They wouldn't even know we left. And then General Flynn said, with So many heads exploding on TV, social media, whatever, over the fall of Afghanistan to the Taliban, mine included. The citizens of the United States need to take a deep breath and really reflect on who we are as a nation. Bad things happen all the time. We will be judged not by something that bad happened, by what we do about it. Right now, we need to save the Americans in harm's way, save as many others that we can, and we need to thank God and pray for the men and women in our military that are once again being sent back into the fray to accomplish another thankless mission that will likely place them in harm's way. I don't think it's a thankless mission to bring our Americans back. If people need to be removed from their positions, and I believe that some must, being caught this flat-footed is inexcusable. That needs to happen, but America cannot miss a beat saving our citizens who will be brutalized by an unforgiving enemy. This is far from over, and there will be untold negative strategic consequences for the United States that our nation's leadership had better start preparing for. God bless our military, and may God continue to bless and protect America. And so what we see here is when one of the things that Flynn really pointed out, the failure in Afghanistan emboldens our enemies across the world. If we're this inefficient and ineffective in Afghanistan, is he going to act the same way in other strategic areas in the world? And does that mean that, who knows, he just opened a can of worms, and this is not the worms that Biden is going to be able to put back into the jar. Chris Miller now says talk of full withdrawal was a play to convince a Taliban-led government to keep U.S. counterterrorism forces. President Donald Trump's top national security officials never intended to pull U.S. troops out of Afghanistan, according to new statements by Chris Miller, Trump's last acting defense secretary. So, again, in a wartime situation, everything changes on a heartbeat. So what you thought was going to happen today may or may not happen tomorrow. So now we got to really use our discernment anytime we hear dates or anything like that. So Q post 586. Was that our war games, i.e. get us meme troops in a live fire drill? So Q responds, shall we play a game? Have a nice game of chess, war games, double meeting, fake incoming missile alert, DEFCON 1. We know all, trust. So since China is calling the shots, they will most likely have Biden do the same thing in other countries where we have troops stationed. And that's what General Flynn was talking about. If he's this inept in Afghanistan, being led around by the nose by China or Ukraine, because, they both got everything on them, well, what's going to happen next? False flags are going to be in abundance, so just prepare for abundance. And when we get to getting the jab and things like that, General Flynn just, said, instead of taking the jab, let's consider this. It's the COVID-19 survival rates. From 0 to 19 years, the survival rate is 99.997%, almost 100%. Nobody's going to die from this. It's as close to 100% as you're going to get. From the 20 to 29 year range, recovery rates are 99.98%. From 50 to 69 years, the recovery rate is 99.5 degrees. And for 70 years old, Susan and I both had COVID. Recovery rate is 94.6%. So, and I'm not going to say that the COVID illness is not real. I don't think it's a virus. I think it's a bioweapon, to tell you the truth. But and what I base that on, that my understanding of basing that on is that they have not provided a white paper, peer-reviewed research that has isolated the COVID virus. And so what that does is it gives you an erroneous test. They really don't, and I've just gone through, probably about five videos on the jab type thing, then the results and the cure rate of and what therapeutics you can use. Hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin are two of the most successful in doing both what they call prophylactics and therapeutic. And prophylaxis, if you take this stuff, the chances are greatly minimized that you're going to have any, that you pretty much will stave off the coronavirus. But nothing is 100%, right? So, but if you do catch the virus, that your system will be strengthened so that the illness doesn't go beyond a small thing, and that's why the recovery rate would be so high. And General Flynn says every child must not be vaccinated with an experimental mRNA gene therapy until they get above the recovery rate that they have. And and I've heard a lot of negative things about the jab, and I think that's if you've taken the jab, I can't say bad things to you or about you. Everybody has decision points in their lives that we have to be able to make. Okay. And so I would highly, highly, highly recommend that you not take the vaccine, but you have all these situations in your life that you have to deal with. Okay. And I understand that. So you make an informed decision, but I can honestly tell you, I will never take the jab. My wife will never take the jab. And but that's our decision, right? And we have the reasons in our lives, and so I can't say bad things about somebody that did take the jab. We all have, but I'm going to tell you, along with saying that, we have a God that Paul got bit by a viper, didn't phase him, right? The snakes that were loosed as punishment against the Jews. God says, well, put a snake on a pole and look up at that pole and the snakes and believe. So we have a God that made us. He knows the body inside and out. And so as I'm praying for everybody, okay? Okay. This is okay. This is really good. A good topic for today. William, you're preaching to the choir there. After this debacle, do you honestly think our government's going to do the right thing? I wish they would, but I don't trust the government anymore. This is a really good discussion point at this particular point in time, because what I can tell you is that the solution is not going to come through the government. The only way forward now is with the military, okay? And the military is waiting for the dead American peoples to come back to life. I can't believe how many people are asleep at the wheel. But I think we've reached critical mass of waking people up. It's really looking good. And so it's just a matter of time. We have to be patient. They're crossing all the T's, dotting all the I's. And when I say to pay all your focus, don't pay attention to this Afghanistan. Well, you can pay attention to it, but find out what the truth is. But all our focus and attention should be on the Arizona audit and the results that are coming out of that, because they're going to be shocking. And I think part of the report is that when the results do come out, they're going to shock everybody. And so knowing that the government isn't going to solve this. Right now, as we look at, there's three branches in our government. There's the executive branch, the judicial branch, and the legislative branch. All three are captured today. We don't have a viable working branch within our government. So the government's not going to fix this problem. So the only way forward now is with the military. Okay, and so the military is going to move. When you talk about taking what the American people understand to be an elected president, that he wasn't, but they believe he is. If you were just to rip him out of the presidency and throw Trump in there, it's just not. You're going to have a civil war or something really close to it. And so they're taking a step by step through this minefield, trying to stay away from the civil war. As soon as they get beyond critical mass or enough American people approving what's going on or disapproving what's going on and wanting Trump back, at that point, the trigger. Okay, we're getting some good comments out here. And then we're going to say, yeah, but out woke military. Okay, I told you that everything's been done in heaven. It's got to play out in the physical realm. Okay, I want to give you guys a positive approach tonight, because what's going to happen is there's certain things that are going out to the public to wake them up. They're throwing. It's like the White Hats are throwing spaghetti against the wall, and whatever sticks, maybe that's going to wake somebody up, And so they're trying to get to the point of trying to wake everybody up, and they're hitting all these crazy things that you can't think would be possible, but it's trying to wake the American people up. And for in about 3 weeks, we've made a tremendous amount of progress in getting the American people awake. And the mask mandates and the mandatory jabs are just contributing to waking up the American people. In our community, we have parents that have demanded that schools now put cameras in their classrooms so that they can see what teachers are doing to their children if they don't wear a mask, And so it's a lot of good things are coming out. And somebody asked, how is Ellie any better? And I'm going to give out her medical information. She told me, I called her tonight, and she's got, I guess, a pretty good cold. And the whole family's out. I guess the kids started out with the cold, and now she's got. And she said that she's hoping by Friday to be by it. I guess she's doing trivia tomorrow, and so she anticipates feeling better by. So. Our good military are chomping at the bit. Have faith in the good, and ding the bell on that one. That's absolutely correct. So we know that good things are just around the corner. So I'm trying to find the next article, and. Okay, here, breaking big. Okay, Joan Pulitzer from Arizona Audit report will be delivered to the Senate on Friday. Results will be earth-shattering. Okay, so huge bomb there. And then another article from the Gateway Pundit on August 6th, Arizona Attorney General Mark Brnovich began an investigation into Maricopa County's non-compliance with legislative subpoenas. The Arizona Senate has subpoenaed the county multiple times with ongoing non-compliance. The materials requested are necessary to finish the full forensic audit of Maricopa County's 2020 election. Arizona State Senator Sonny Borelli requested AG Brnovich to investigate the county's noncompliance with the legal and enforceable subpoenas. In notice to Maricopa County, the Attorney General's office requested a written response by Friday, August 20. Maricopa responded yesterday claiming innocence and asking the Attorney General to take no further action. Their excuse is that it's called sine die, S-I-N-E, capital D-I-E. And adjournment of the legislature terminates the Senate's authority to enforce the subpoenas. Arizona's legislators already knew this, and this is why the Attorney General needs to enforce these legal subpoenas. And here, this is a good one, because I tell you, it's more than the Democrats, it's the Republicans as well that we're dealing with. Exclusive report confirms 2020 abuses and RNC deploys a year-round election integrity unit. A month-long investigation. So this is what the RNC put out. They're panicking big time over the Arizona audit because they were saying everything is fine. There's nothing wrong with the election. That's what the RNC has said. And now they come out with this. A month-long investigation into the 2020 presidential vote has found that Democrat-run cities, of course they have to say that, and states used the COVID-19 crisis to change the rules that likely helped Joe Biden's ascent to the White House. The Republican National Committee report found several cases in which Democrats used the virus as an excuse to scuttle voter identification rules, flood mailboxes with ballots, and limit poll watching and vote count observations. The pandemic brought chaos and comprehensive changes to voting processes beginning in the spring primaries and lasting through the post-election process, said the 23-page report from the RNC's Committee on Election Integrity, created by party chairwoman Ronna McDaniel. So they're trying to get, they know something's coming out, and so they're trying to get ahead of that. And then they had that one guy that tried to bomb today. I'm guessing they're going to try to make that guy out to be a Trump supporter or a Q follower. They're trying to make that. They're trying to make that case now, and more than likely they will do that. And more than 40 GOP senators signed on a letter to Attorney Merrick Garland demanding that Special Counsel John Durham's investigation be allowed to continue and the report be made public. The letter comes amid questions about whether Durham will have funding to continue his investigation past the end of the government's fiscal year on September 30th. The special counsel's ongoing work is important to many Americans who were disturbed by the government agents' subverted lawful processes to conduct an appropriate surveillance for political purposes, the letter reads. The true purpose by this investigation is necessary to ensure transparency in our intelligence agency and restore faith in our civil liberties. Thus, it is essential that the special counsel's ongoing review should be allowed to continue unimpeded and without undue limitations. And this is part of the operation to I think put off the news media and the deep state, thinking that if they get to September 30th, they can stop Durham on his investigation by cutting off his funding. Well, the issue is that I don't think Durham is going to file a report. I think he's going to go and indict people and arrest people and things like that. He doesn't have to give a report to Merrick Garland. And so it's going to be interesting to, and remember Trump has been asking, where's Durham? Where's Durham? So I think something is going to be coming out pretty soon. When I say when that domino falls, and then 2 dominoes falls, then 4 dominoes fall, it's once that once that Arizona audits gets into the spotlight, I think the dominoes are going to be starting to fall. And what's going to happen, I think the strategy behind that is maybe you can spend one report, or you can spend two reports, but when they start coming out in 10s and 20s and 30s, the media is not going to be able to cover up for them. I think the other side of that is once you get the people understanding that there's corruption there, more corruption seems to be appropriate to know about. You see, so once the word starts coming out, and they have evidence, then it's be calm, be observant, be patient, don't be like me, and I'm being patient. I told my wife I'm anxious and patient at the same time. So I think I'm going to do some Q posts here, and let me see here. Okay, there we go. Okay. First one we're going to look at is 2096. Fellow patriots, what you are about to learn. Okay, I think the important thing here is the date, September 5th, 2018. So we're looking at a potential 3-year delta. What you are about to learn should not only scare you, but intensify your resolve to take back control, freedom. The information that will become public will further demonstrate the criminal and corrupt pure evil abuse of power that the Hussein administration undertook in joint efforts with domestic and foreign dignitaries. The snowball has begun rolling. There is no stopping it now. D5. And that's what I said that Durham, that's what Durham is investigating. Okay. So what Q says is the future proves the past. So as things start coming out, it makes you understand this particular post even better. Stay the course and trust the plan. That's right here. Okay. Protective measures are in place. Remain brave. We knew this day would come. United we stand worldwide, and where we go one, we go all. We fight conspiracy no more. And so what we have here, we understand is that things are going to start happening. That I don't know how else to say that. Next one is 2099. Heads up national. So a national emergency test plan, and that's going to be September 6th. Now they just did one on August 11th, and they only had 12% success. And so I think it was Apple and Samsung had put a hold on the emergency broadcasting system. Okay, so look, appears that they have another one coming up. So they're hitting them hard. They're starting. You see the operators are in place, and operators are active, and so things are going. Next one is 2126. How do you know? Okay, let's go back to the date, September 9th. How do you know when something very big is about to drop? Attacks increase from all directions. So attacks increase from all directions. Do you see that happening? Can we see that happening around us? Attacks increase from all directions. Ready the memes. FISA corruption. And as I told you earlier, FISA goes both ways. Trump got people close to him, and as they learned about tracking them and putting FISA warrants on them, they were able to find who all is involved in all this corruption. So you have more than you know. That's what Q is telling us. Keep up the good fight. We stand together. And we stand together. We have to and keep up the good fight. Trump could only fight to a certain point, and then he has to have America, we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, do provide for the common defense, do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States. That started off with we the people. We have a responsibility here. And for all the Christians out there where Jesus told us to occupy, well, do that. Occupy. Take care of your local community. Be a Christian. Occupy. That's what Jesus told us to do. $21.34 is the last one. Okay. This is on September 10th. Okay. And Anon posts, buckle up, Buttercup. And you know what that means? Buckle up, Buttercup. So I wish I could tell you dates and times. I just think that what you should know is that September is preparedness month to be prepared for any emergency. So maybe this late August would be a good time for you to store up on food and water. And if you have a feeling that electricity is going to go out in your area, you might find some way to accommodate your electrical needs. Should you have a serious critical condition for that? My wife has oxygen, so we have to be we have to make sure that that oxygen supply is maintained. So anyway, that's my report for tonight. And what I wanted to do, fellow patriots, fellow investigators, what I want to do is I don't want you to be fear-mongered. I don't want you to think that doom and gloom is happening, but I do want you to know that things are going to get worse. Okay, we're going to get a gut punch, and it's going to make it seem like all is lost, but it won't be. We have an amazing God. God's got this. Okay, I'm so confident that I want to keep you in a positive mode. That doesn't mean that we stop working. We still got our local communities that we have to take care of, right? Trump and the alliance is doing the best they can at their level of taking the deep state out of all the positions. They've gone this far in the operation to ensure that they're identifying all the rhinos and all the deep state personnel. And so he's done his part, and we got to do our part too. We got to make sure that we're awake. We provide information for people around them. One of the questions that was asked to me several years ago by one of my family was, well, what am I supposed to do with this information? And I said, put it up on your whiteboard and just know that if these things start happening, that you knew of it and you took some course of action to prepare for it. And that person in the family is doing things the way he should be doing, and is taking care of his wife and his family and his kids and stuff like that. And so they're starting to see that what we were talking about 5 years ago is real, and so it's really neat to see that kind of stuff happen. So believe it or not, I have oil lamps. We also have a lot of batteries. So and I've got a propane burner, and I got a barbecue. So, so yeah, just in case. So, anyway. I never follow Q, and I don't like Q. Bye. Okay, so yeah, and everybody is always um, what's uh, Q pointed us in a direction and said, these are things that are of concern to American people. Go research and find out about it. Okay. And so they've had millions of people researching and bringing back information. There's been some off the wall, abrasive type of information that has come up, but they also had an organization that um, within their structure that they found out what was true, and what they called it notable or something like, they call them notables, and they put notable responses up to research to make sure that these are viable research options should you believe this, or if you want to dig further. And there's millions of people out there just digging, researching, finding all kinds of information. And that's the point in time when they bring this information back to you. What they're doing is just saying, this is what I've learned. They leave it up to you to do further research and development on that particular issue. And it's up to you to go find the truth. Nobody out there waits for a mainstream media to lie to them. They go do the research, and these people are very adept to the internet and how to find things. So it's just a matter of researching and finding things, sharing that information, basically. And tomorrow or the next day, I have what I call a back channel description to give you a basic understanding of what the back channel is, Q is, and what the Q PSYOP is all about. And it is a PSYOP. I mean, don't pretend that it isn't a psychological operation, because it is, and it's to bring information to the people who don't receive information. But then he only brings you so much information, and it's up to us to complete the research and work our way to the truth without being lied to and things like that. So, and here we say, what's your secret, Larry? My secret is that I lean in on God and not my own understanding. When I post things on the out on the Facebook, I don't I no longer have a Twitter account, and what happens is I do my post, I pass it by my wife, and then I set it aside and I pray for it. And there's 2 or 3 days that go by before I ever post anything, And a lot of things that I post, I don't post to say that or to call names or anything like that. I put out perspectives, or I put out food for thought. I put out questions. One of the questions I've put out, I've got zero response from, is that can anybody tell me what the long-term effects are to the jab? And I haven't got nothing. Nobody knows what the long-term effects are for the jab, because it's an experimental shot. So I just ask questions. I want to know what's happening. Soldiers are trained to wait before the action. It's the hardest part. A lot of times, let me put that back up there. You're given a rules of engagement, okay? And what the rules are engagement is the best way to think about it. If you think about a war of 1812 and 1814, we took a little trip down the Mississippi. And you can't shoot at the soldier till you see the whites of their eyes. Now, the purpose of waiting till you see the whites of their eyes is they want to make sure you got a hit. And the other thing is they're running low on ammunition. So the rules of engagement sometimes are meant to, there's all sorts of reasons behind. Well, but soldiers are trained to wait before the action. It's the hardest part. And yeah, it is. I mean, so I think that everything is in place to move forward. The false flags is the enemy fighting, doing Hail Marys, doing anything and everything that they can to try to stay in power. My understanding is that they've already lost. The moves just have to play themselves out. So, and it's just a matter. I think the critical mass of people coming awake is the primary key. I think that the Arizona audits is going to move that step along once people find out that there really was election fraud. And so it's, and they're waiting long enough to find all the bad guys, so that after everything, all the dust settles on the next side, I'm pretty sure they're going to have re-elections, and we just don't want to re-elect bad blood again and insert deep state back into our politics. So, and I don't know what tomorrow brings. It's going to be a brave new world out there. And if Trump would have done something in January of 2017, I don't think there would have been enough people to replace the corrupted government, the corrupted law enforcement, the corrupted judicial system, the corrupted education system. Now we've had enough time, 4 years of learning of who's who in the zoo. And so when we get to the next step, we have people. I'm pretty sure that they've found people to step into the government. So as the corruption's taken out of the government, we have to be able to still be governed, And so I think there's enough people to step in the gap. And I think when our government comes back, I don't think it's going to be anywhere near the size that it is today. So I think it's going to be pared down quite a bit. So, and that minimizes the risk, because when we're looking, if we're going to fix this problem of this corruption in the government, we got to make sure that it doesn't happen again. And it's process, procedures, and programs have got to be put in place so that this never happens again. And a very good statement there, William. And along with exhausting themselves, they're using up. There's only X amount of dollars that they can spend. Because after all of the assets that have been frozen and all this stuff here, they finally got themselves into a quasi government where they can do U.S. aid. that's about it. And when they remember when they were trying to stop the Arizona audit, the judge says, well, if in order to do that, you have to come up with $1 million for I can't remember what the purpose was, but they couldn't come up with $1 million to stop the audit. So as along with exhausting themselves, they're exhausting their resources. They're exhausting, and every time that they do an activity, and new people get involved in the activity, more people are identified who is on the corrupt side of the house, and they record all the laws that they're breaking. So it's just a bad cycle that the deep state find themselves in. And I guess the last thing that I really want to say is be very judicious on, if you're going to protest or you're going to do things, be very judicious on how you go about doing that. You don't want to be caught into a trap of where Antifa goes to one of your rallies or school board meetings and makes it out to be that they're on your side and you get arrested for their violence and stuff like that. So just be nonviolent, be observant, be patient, and be very wary of what protests that you get involved in, and make sure that whoever is organizing that protest is who they say they are, and don't get caught up in one of these false flags. Okay, we've got to occupy, but we got to occupy with common sense. So I think that's my report for tonight. What I wanted to do is I wanted to bring a positive approach. I don't want to doom and gloom. That doesn't mean that bad things aren't going to happen in the near future, because they are. But it's not doom and gloom. there's a plan that's out there. They have moves, they have counter moves, they have contingencies, and in one of the Trump's plan, when they were talking about distributing the jab, he sent military to all parts of the country. Okay, so military is sitting everywhere. Okay, so and who moves, counter moves. A lot of stuff's going on. Okay, so thank you so much for being here tonight. I'm going to finish with a prayer. And dear Lord and Heavenly Father, we worship you, praise you, glorify your wonderful name. Lord, thank you so much for being here tonight, and thank you so much for being involved in spreading the word about being calm. And Lord, put a hedge of protection around all involved as they do as Jesus has requested us to occupy. Give us common sense to do the right things. Put it on our hearts to have knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And Lord, anytime the two or more are gathered in your name, you're in our midst. And Jesus, thank you for being here. And we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you so much for being here tonight. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and give you his peace. And that peace always flows from God's grace. Good night. And I'm going to come out tomorrow or Sunday. Tomorrow's Friday. So I'll come out within the next couple of days. I'll see how Ellie's feeling. I told her I'd jump out there if she didn't feel good. So but it's going to be a set of articles written by Martin Geddes, Geddes, and it covers. This gives you a good understanding what the back channel is, and so and Q is a big part of that. So and then it just gives you a brief description of what that is and how it operates. And I was going to do that tonight, but I thought getting all this information out might be a better thing to do, and then follow it up with so everybody gets a base understanding of what the back channel that the Alliance and the White Hats are working with. Okay, so God bless, and I will see you in a day or two. So God bless and take care.